next year.
Bye-bye.
Right. Okay, so look, in this session, we're going to look at what is learner autonomy. Why is learner autonomy desirable? What is the role of the learner? So the learner does have a role in becoming an autonomous learner. What's the role of the teacher? And then we'll look at some practical suggestions. Okay? Okay? Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Right. Now this is what you do to train them to reciprocate. All right. You say to your students, "How are you?" Good. And okay, yes, exactly. Okay, so I want you to work together in smaller groups, maybe 3 or 4, right? 3 or 4, and discuss these questions. Okay.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Right. Right. Okay. Begin.
We are the closest to each other. The situation when the teacher don't have to stay in front of you and force you. Yes. They can actually they can count the time they need maybe when they realize the goals, just why they are doing this and that activity, why do they need it? Why they need that?
The learner is in the center.
Just maybe to give some advice. Like in Russian we have a saying, yeah, you can't teach anyone to something. The person can't be taught, yeah. They can only learn how to do it themselves. Maybe give necessary support in his problem. Maybe underline some strong points, yeah, and try to cope with the weak points. The role of the teacher. I'll be interested let them be autonomous, because mostly we like mothers, yeah, overbearing. Yes, shut up and give them some freedom. Be closer to their interests, like, but they will never talk about politics, for example, if they're age 18, yeah, or they will never discuss, I don't know, just the music bands that you were into when you were into music, because especially the already changed. I mean, be closer to the interests. I mean, with higher level students, we have to cover the topic for the sake of vocabulary learning and so on. Yeah? So it won't work with your Give them more homework.
They won't be happy. I share
Preparation for them to be autonomous. They can't be autonomous from scratch, like when they know nothing. And if you provide them with necessary tips, with strategies, how to do this or that, yeah, or some language, yeah, useful language for someone.
Okay, 1, 2, 3, look at me.
no result, no result. Sounds sad.
Okay, so can anybody tell me what they understand by learner autonomy? Yeah, you're right. Okay.
Learn by yourself, like try to learn by yourself.
Okay.
Without teachers' help.
Okay. And what was it you said?
I said the ability to learn independently.
Yeah. So the ability to learn independently of the teacher. Okay. Right. So giving them the tools. So not about like just teaching them English, but teaching them how to learn, teaching them how to learn. Okay. So learner strategies, how to use dictionaries, how to throw away their grammar books, which I'll talk about later. But I know all you people are horrified when I say throw away grammar books. No, must have grammar, must have grammar.
Murphy, Edinburgh.
Not Eddie.
Raymond Murphy, I'm
Well, listen, Eddie Murphy would do a better job. But anyway, I'll talk about that later. I'm anti-grammar. Okay, so. Hello? Yeah. Okay, so providing the learners with the tools to learn independently of the teacher. Okay, so we've got this lengthy quote here. Learner autonomy refers to the principle that learners should take the maximum amount of responsibility for what they learn and how they learn it. Okay, which means they need to know themselves. What are their how do they best learn something? How do they memorize vocabulary? Okay, how do they know which tense to use? How many tenses in English, by the way? Two. Only past and present. The rest are not tenses, which is another reason you should throw away your grammar books. Right? Okay, grammar. Okay, and they should be involved in decision making, working in groups, working with the teacher, saying this is how we learn best, and this is what we would like to do, for example. Okay. Learning, determining ways and means of learning, and very importantly, reflecting on and evaluating what they've learned. So when you come to the end of a unit in a course book, what do you usually see? Yeah, so for example, now I can. Okay, so it has a series of can statements, all right, linked to the common European reference, what do you call it, framework. Yeah. Okay. Autonomous learning is said to make learning more personal and focused and consequently achieve better learning outcomes. Because the learner is the person who decides, okay, how the process is going to be for them. Contrast with the teacher-led approach, right, in which most decisions are made by the teacher. Now, I don't know if the schools you work in, do they have self-access learning centres? Yes, no? Right.
We used to have British Council.
In the British Council, right?
That was interesting.
Okay. So, I mean, well, you can explain to us then, what is a self-access learning centre and what happens?
You can just come there, you can take books, you can take some videos, you can use a computer, you can prepare for anything you need. And
yeah, and usually there's a teacher who just is there, to help. Where can I find this? Where can I find that? For example, right? So if it's possible for the schools you work in, a self-access learning centre is a very good idea. Okay, right. Yeah, the traditional teacher-led approach. Now, it depends on the culture, right? So, for example, if you're working in Asia, what do they expect of a teacher? Right? Well, they expect the teacher to feed them everything. Okay, so quite often you have to be quite sensitive if you're working in these kind of cultures. Japan, for example, you just have to feed them everything, and it's just passive, right? So when you're working with multilingual groups, you need to be sensitive to that. Okay, all right. I mentioned earlier when I'm working with Americans, this is what I mean. This is an apostrophe. When I was at school, apostrophe was taught to me as a way of denoting possession and contractions, of course, and blah, 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 and the students just, right? Okay, so teacher talk time has to be minimized, right? In this approach. Okay, now, the role of the learner. Okay, so the learner does have a job to do in becoming autonomous, right? So, any ideas? What could we say is the role or the responsibility of the learner?
Process the material.
Be the ethical, do something.
To do something, yes.
Be
Right.
proactive, right?
Okay.
Yes.
Any other things? Okay.
To make educational decisions.
Okay, so they need to reflect on their learning. All right, this is something I did well today. This is something I could have done better. Okay, this is something I need to learn more about. Take responsibility for their learning and their progress. Know why they're learning English and try to stay motivated. And know how to study effectively. So we used to talk about learning styles. We don't anymore. We talk about learning preferences. Okay, so 80% of learners have a very visual learning preference, right? 20% have a very auditory. Okay, right. So for me, I'm a very auditory learner, right? So it's no good for me to just keep reading and reading and reading. I need to hear the language being spoken, right? Songs, things like that, poems. Okay. The other thing is, with 80% being of a very visual learning process, again, teacher talk time needs to come down, right? They don't need to keep listening to you. They need to work for themselves, all right? Which possibly contradicting myself because I'm talking too much at the moment, but I'll stop in a minute. Right. Okay, so basically, this is what we expect the learners to do or the characteristics, right? They need to take responsibility for their learning. They need to reflect upon their learning. Okay, they need to work together to help each other find the best ways to learn, leading to autonomous language learning. Okay, so we often think of the student's role as being quite passive and just doing what the teacher says, right? That doesn't help them become autonomous. So again, for example, often students say to me, what do we have to do? And I say to them, yeah, what do you have to do? Right? Or again, as I say, what does this word mean? Yeah, what does it mean? Right? Always put it back on them. Okay? If they know that you're always going to answer their questions, what's not going to happen? Well, they're not going to become autonomous. So I need to go backwards a little bit. I forgot. So we said what learner autonomy is. Why is it desirable? Your name? Yeah. Marina. Okay.
Yeah, I think students can have progress more quickly
Because.
They put more time into learning. For example,
Okay.
find information themselves.
What kind of information?
Maybe task-based, it depends.
Okay. Any other reasons why it's desirable for learners to become autonomous?
This is what they're gonna do later in life, they will be autonomous, they're using the knowledge.
Yeah. So in real life, there's nobody to go and ask, okay, for clarification or to give instructions or anything. So it reflects what they have to do in real life, okay? And they need to become critical thinkers as well, right? All right. Did you discuss this question, the role of the teacher? You did? Great. So I'm expecting a lot of answers. Right. Any ideas? What's the role of the teacher? Okay, so the teacher has to be a motivator, right? Yeah.
Support, encourage.
Give some guidance, guiding.
Any other things?
Mentoring.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Anything else?
Give resources.
I wouldn't say give resources, I'd encourage them to find resources, right? Because otherwise they're just waiting for you to feed them again, right?
Give tools.
Okay, anything else?
Provide information when requested.
Providing,
Provide information when requested.
well, providing information as a last resort. Uh-huh. Okay, right. Set learning goals. Okay, this is what we hope to achieve in the next 3 months, right? Or we're going to achieve. Give choices. So if you think back to my earlier session, I said there was a problem with the grammar question. Can anybody remember? What was the problem? Only one possible answer, all right? So you give them a choice, right? Use a noun phrase, use an adjective. Use an adjective, use an adverbial phrase, right? And again, tied in with mixed abilities. Okay. Encourage students to set their own tasks, and we'll look at examples of this later. Okay. Right. So this is what the teacher should be doing to promote learner autonomy. Okay. I'm just waiting because some people are writing. Okay, so basically, this is what the teacher should be doing. Adapt coursebook activities. Now, what did I say? What percentage of a course should rely on a coursebook? About 70%, right? Okay. Now, sometimes, when I'm observing teachers and I have to give them feedback in the school in which I work, right? One of the main, if you want to call it, the criticism that I make is that they just slavishly follow everything in the course book, right? And absolutely everything is according to what the course book says, right? With no involvement for the students. Okay. So, does anybody know what I mean by this? It's not a disease. No? It's about course books, right? Select, adapt, reject, and supplement with other material. Okay? So if you always follow the course book, you're not giving the students an opportunity to develop their own way of learning. Okay? So you should always be looking at course books with a critical eye. Okay, what's useful? What's not so useful? How could I supplement it? Right. For example, speaking activities in course books, often they don't appear to be very good. It's just like at the end of a listening activity, they just say, "What did you think about it?" Right?
Yeah.
Do you see what I mean? And earlier, when we talked about speaking, I said there are 3 elements to a successful speaking lesson: context, aim, preparation. All right. So you need to be looking at course books with a critical eye, right? Not always just slavishly following them. Okay. Compiling autonomous and valuable activities. Usage of a student-centered approach. Communicative activities. Develop students' language skills. These we'll look at in more detail. And there's an emphasis on assessment, self-assessment, peer assessment, finally, possibly teacher assessment, okay? And identifying the learner's aims, all right? What they themselves want to achieve. Does anybody here work with one-to-one students? Yeah. So this becomes really important. Identifying the learner's aim when you're working with individual students, right? Quite often, and I did it myself when I first started teaching. When I had one-to-one students, I just used to teach them what I thought, but with no consideration of what they actually wanted to achieve. However, what the students often tell you is nonsense anyway. They say, oh, I need to achieve this, and you just go, oh, yeah. Right. Okay. So, how to develop learner autonomy? Teach the students how to learn. Highlight the importance of self-evaluation. Make the students research and find the answers themselves. And provide guidance to study and use English outside the classroom. So once again, in small groups, I want you to discuss these points. Is it something that you already do in your classroom? Can you think of any practical ideas to achieve these 4 points? Okay? Begin.
One day, that hour is going to work. Every time they and finally actually make me happy to see we've already made a video on Korea for hours today. Okay, I feel this video now. I feel this video now.
It's not really only one extra activity. Well, they're lazy enough to change some preparation like that. Sometimes it's better not what they think. Yeah, you just have to make them I actually say, like my kid wants to be a program, and she says, well, I don't like your residue. I said, don't scare you, now you need to start working. Do the same to your own kid, my child. No, not, no. What I did to my kids is, the mother is English teacher, so you're definitely learning. So if I were relevant, you would learn how to dance the belly. I'm not in this word in those cases because I know I'm a mom, so I just really I just sometimes really again so much because I know it doesn't work and mom is there all the time. I know parents really want to make this work. So it's a marketing class. Most of those, okay, first of all, come to you, pay their money and why they're quite and then they usually have a reason to break. Not just formalized. How about research? I sometimes have to do this, like the lesson I have on my and I gave most of the stuff like next time you tell me 7 to 5 okay, go find tell me next time. Functional language. I just the idea of how it's some of them leave abroad and they use it on a regular basis. It's easier when students are able to use it. I know that now until you get through together. And then you will understand. Oh, then everybody will understand. I mean, like, I have to explain this, like, people, when they go somewhere, they just be on the safe side. Hospitals, prisons, that sort of thing. Like, you have to make them aware of the fact that they might have problems and they have to try to document some authorities, which is all in English. There are lots of following your talk. My students love correspondence, and now I understand that he knows English. I asked why. Because when they went to Thailand, the mother was locked in the bathroom inside, and she asked her 5-year-old son, because he was studying with me, like, somehow to get in touch with the reception, and that's lock her, just unlock her to save her, and he did. And he was so proud of me. Like, now we see that he can speak.
Okay, let's have a look. So the first important criteria, teach the students how to learn. Any ideas? How do we do that? Yeah, we talked a little bit about this earlier. For example, with reading strategies, what kind of reading am I supposed to do? Is it skimming? Is it scanning? Is it reading for detailed comprehension? What are the key words, right, etc. So highlighting strategies, sub skills, right, in class. Okay. Any others?
Or giving them some reliable resources instead of Google dictionaries, you know,
Giving them or telling them they exist?
telling them they exist, because they usually opt for something which might not be so reliable.
Yeah, well, they should throw away their phones first of all. Go to the library. It's actually correct. You know, like the act of going to the library, you know, standing up, walking, going to the library, going in the building, looking for what you want, creates connections in the brain, right? Instead of, and it's forgotten after. Are you okay? Right, and it's forgotten after a minute. Okay, right. Yeah, and I'll demonstrate that in just a second. Okay. How else can we teach the students how to learn? Learn them or teach them?
Teach them.
Yeah.
Teach them how to work with vocabularies, not vocabulary, but dictionaries, right?
Yeah.
That because many of them really don't understand that in every dictionary article there is a lot of information about words, word combinations, examples, irregular tense, and so on.
Yeah. Okay. So if you look at advanced learners dictionaries, right, they do spend a lot of time. Yes, and yeah, that's important. They do. Okay. Right. They spend a long time on learner training in advanced dictionaries. Okay. And the students are then asked to consider which method helped them the most. Okay. Right. Any other ways we can teach them how to learn?
We could probably think about something like
Okay.
or somebody is asked to do something, the group mates show something, do something.
Okay, let's look at some examples. Most obvious being vocabulary. Okay. So you need to look at me very carefully, very, very carefully, very closely, right? Okay, because this is silent dictation. Okay, so for each of these words that you see me form, tell me which one it is. Okay, so the first one. Silent dictation. Okay, look at me. First one. Okay, next one. Which one? Second one, right? Peach. Okay, and here we've got pitch and right. Okay, so this is minimal pairs, right? Okay, so let's try it one more time. Okay, I'll do it a bit faster. So first one. Which one? Put your hands up for Russia. Put your hands up for rush hour. Put your hands up if you've got no hands. Right. This one was Russia. Okay. Okay. Next one. Pen. Right. Pen. Okay. And the next one. Peach. Okay. So silent dictation. Right. So that's one method of them recording vocabulary. Right. So what would be a good reason to use silent dictation? Well, to highlight minimal pairs, right? And also it's very visual, okay? And often, you know, students learning a second or foreign language, they don't have the muscular development. So they need to study, you know, how words, sounds are produced, for example, right? Sorry. Now, the next one. Richard of York gave battle in vain. What do you think this means? It's the first letter of each word. Red,
Orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet, rainbow.
right, the colours of the, right, so what do we call this particular activity? Is a, okay, mnemonic drill, okay? So they, they internalize vocabulary by associating it with a mnemonic drill, okay? What about this one? Never eat shredded wheat.
North, south, east, west.
Okay? North, south, east, west. Never eat shredded wheat, for example, right? So these are examples of mnemonic drills, okay? This one, what's the common word? Best. Okay? So, he's my best friend. The best thing to do. Mother knows best. You best do your homework or I'll kill you.
Yes.
Right. Do you know this is an example of what? Does anybody know? That's true, right? But it's also what we call, it's a branch of linguistics, corpus linguistics. So if you had a printout of a page, you might see 500 entries like this with different occurrences of the word best. Okay? So, and it's all taken from natural speech, not from written grammatical language, natural speech, all right? So, what kind of word is it here? It's an adjective, right? Superlative adjective, right? And here? Same, right? Okay. Adverb, right? Okay. You'd best do your homework or I'll kill you. Adverb, okay? Right. Does the word best always appear in the same sentence, same position in a sentence? No. Can it occur at the end? In the middle? The beginning? Right, okay. Now, so again, this is what we call corpus linguistics. Okay. Now the last one. All right. Can anybody here speak French? Okay. Can anybody here speak Russian? Very good. Right. What's the Russian word for to understand? Almost polymath, right? So the student can imagine an image of what? Of a pony on a mat. Right? Okay. What's the Russian word for please? Huh? Please. Are you Russian?
I think I am.
Right. Now, пожалуйста, right? Ulster is a place in Northern Ireland, right? And the people there are savages. Right? So to think of somebody from Ulster who is very, very posh, right? Posh Ulster, right? Right. So it's creating images in the brain to associate with the vocabulary. And this we call associative mediators. Okay, associative mediators. It's not important to know that word, but I'm just being clever. All right. So I've just given you some demonstrations of different. One more. You were my first volunteer this morning, right? Choose another volunteer. Okay. This lady, okay. Right. Do you have your phone?
I do.
Right. And you have a translation app on your phone, right?
I'm not sure. I'm a teacher. I didn't use it.
Good.
Installed it.
You did?
No.
Okay. Does anybody have a phone with a translation app? No.
Google has.
Fine. Yeah. Do you have Google Translate?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yes, is it open?
Yeah.
Okay, so listen carefully and watch carefully. I'm going to write some words on the board, okay? And I can't remember your name. Get to do that, right? We're going to see. You're going to watch me physically demonstrate the word, okay? And at the same time, Katerina is going to try to find the meaning of the word in her translation, right? Okay. So first, Katerina, when I write the word on the board, you immediately face that way and you'll keep your translation up, right? Okay. Everybody else, look at me. Okay. So the first word is. Sorry.
Not today.
When you think you know the meaning of the word, even if you can't explain it well, just say yes. Okay. We see who gets it more quickly. Right? Don't make me
I'm
look
a
bad.
slow one, so. I'm
Right.
a ready one.
Right. Remember, as soon as I write it, you face that way. Yes?
Okay, okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
Okay. First word. Go.
Yes.
Okay. Which means.
I
know.
Or can't walk properly.
Right. So walk with difficulty because of an injury, right? Okay. Right.
And
Right. Next one. Next one. You're supposed to see who gets the meaning first, you or them. Right?
all right.
Next one. Yeah. And if you know it, just pretend you're a student. You don't know. Go.
Yes.
Okay. So it means
Use some objects to throw them up and catch.
multiple objects.
Multiple
Right?
objects.
Multiple objects. All right.
I feel useless, don't make
Now, who is likely to remember those words more?
I have already forgotten.
Also Google.
Because
It's visual and
Visual.
and you've experienced them in a real life scenario, right? Okay. Oh, thank you. Take a seat.
Anytime.
Now, so I've given you some different ways of working with vocabulary, of internalizing vocabulary, right? Now, so teaching the students how to learn. So the next thing I want you to do is think back to these activities that I showed you. Which ones do you think would work best for you and why? This guy.
What I do personally is
What do you think of mood? Because I'm so quite skeptical about that. Because sometimes they can hurt when you have GED. When some simple teachers build their courses relying on, they sometimes successful, like human course, so shit, like how to learn 100 words within 3 days. Constellation. I do remember the word constellation. Does it make your life easier? Maybe. It's really challenging. Remember, she should That's what they usually do with idioms, really. Trying to draw them. For myself, like mine,
audio file when the students were sharing their learning strategies. I like the color coding about green, yellow, red. Words that you remember, you don't remember. And there was a arthropod with arthritis, encephalopod with sinusitis. So they were trying to understand what arthritis is, and has to do with arthropod, and sinus for each part of the sometimes it works.
It also work when they choose
All these techniques.
I need this. I would probably need, but maybe not. Yeah, or I don't need it anyway. Like when they choose
I'm not sure about dictation. I'm not really sure about the dictation.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like in my situation.
To guess the right
I guess in one exams, teachers make something like that. Yeah, just for differentiating different sounds.
And they can choose.
Okay, thank you.
If you can work.
Okay, so the first one I showed you was the silent dictation. Okay. Put your hands up if you think that would work well for you. Okay, because
it's interesting, it will be quite challenging for them to understand at the beginning.
no, I mean you personally as a learner, would it work for you?
Yes, why not?
Yes, why not?
I will remember this task and I will try to understand the words in a better way. How we should pronounce it.
Articulate, right? Now, and the next stage from that, again, encouraging the learners to be independent and autonomous. What could they do at home? They've done a silent dictation in class. What could they do at home?
To play with the mirror.
Similar thing for their peers, maybe
Yeah, find something.
Stand in front of the mirror.
Well, that's it, yeah, for practicing the
Yeah.
professional development. Well, watching TV
yeah,
Without
without the sound, right? And studying what they're saying. Maybe, and it can be a good idea to, short TV thing with a script that they do already know, so that they can, yes, I know that links with that word, for example, right? Okay. So, and what kind of learner preference does it suit? Yeah, very visual, right? And kinesthetic because of the movement, right? Okay, the second one I demonstrated was these mnemonic drills, right? Richard of York gave battle in vain. Okay, right. Who found that one effective for themselves as a learner? Would it work for you? No, because
They do not make any sense for me.
okay.
Because I just look at the first letters and there is no context. That's
Okay,
why
so it
it
wouldn't-
doesn't work for
it
me.
wouldn't
It's not
help you.
viable.
Does anybody think it would be helpful for their learning preference or learning style? No. Okay, but what learner preference, or we talk about multiple intelligence, which multiple intelligence would this suit? Do you know what I mean by multiple intelligence? Yeah. Well, linguistic, musical. Okay. So students who like singing in the bath or whatever, you can see there, right? Okay, this one, corpus linguistics.
I would find it.
Yeah, it works.
You'd find it useful
Yeah, I
because
do. Well, I do it with my students,
Uh-huh.
and for me, it makes a lot of sense because you can actually guide them towards some discoveries. You don't have to give them answers.
which we're coming on to in a minute, yes.
Yes, just making them more, maybe have more observation and come to conclusions. It's a
Right.
great resource.
So it's encouraging them to investigate
Yes.
language, right? Okay. Miming,
Yes.
put your hands up if that works for you as a learner, yeah? Okay, because,
It's sweet,
uh-huh.
it shows, like demonstrates everything,
And it's
no need to
And it's fun.
go,
it's
yeah, you will remember it.
memorable.
Yeah, it gives emotions.
And it's fun. It's fun.
It's emotions. Sorry, I'm just thinking about my students in Donazio. I am very happy today. It is the best day of my life. But yes, so it conveys emotions. So this is an example of teaching them how to learn. You could give them, demonstrate activities like this and give them a form to fill out, mark them according to how useful they are to you. Compare with your group. Okay, who found this most useful? Who found that most useful? Who thinks that wouldn't work for them? All right, that provides the teacher with valuable information about how to move forward. Okay, all right. Sorry, 1 second. I need some help. Is Dasha here?
It's okay. It's okay.
Very good. I
Dasha
fixed
is
it.
is a magical word.
Do you see what I just learned? I learned kinesthetically. Right. Okay. So we've looked at teaching the students how to learn. Okay, next one. Okay, so learner training. So basically, as Scrivener says, learners can't be expected to study independently if they haven't been taught how to. Right? I often see teachers, they've got the students' best interests at heart, and they say, right, go home and research it.
Nice.
They don't know where to start. They don't know, academic research methods, for example.
This is what happens to guys who go to study abroad from Russia. They just don't know what to do when professors tell them, you have to take this exam and this is the topic. There's nothing else we can provide you with.
Yeah, and I mean, if they went to a British university, they'd get no help at all from
Yeah,
their
exactly.
teacher or lecturer. So they're encouraged from the very beginning to be independent. Okay, so learner training, raising students' awareness about how they're learning, and as a result, find more effective ways. Okay, so they continue working effectively and usefully, even when they're away from the learning classroom. So working on teaching learning as well as teaching language. Yeah. Okay, so working with receptive skills. So what are the 2 receptive skills?
Reading.
Reading and listening. Okay. So this is a technique that we can use. Survey, question, read, recite, review. And it's called SQ3R. Okay. Now, don't worry, I don't expect you to know the answers to this, but I just want you to speculate in your groups how you might, what happens with this method, right? What are you expecting the students to do? And we're talking about, let's say we're talking about reading here, okay? Again, I don't expect you to know the answers, but just discuss what this might mean and what they do at each stage of a reading task, okay? And then I'll help you.
Some background. To get some background. Maybe the survey is plan for the future is now. The students are aware what is the core of their knowledge about the topic before reading, just to understand how good they are in this if they know anything at all. Yeah, and give some background information.
I didn't know how right to read this here. So, and he was necessarily weird, something like this, and I just missed the time. So I had to start learning automatic would sound the continuation and kind of like people would do this, and after that.
Okay. Any ideas? What happens at each stage? Survey. What do you think happens at the survey stage?
You don't share the information they already know about.
Yeah, predictions.
Yeah.
Teacher tries to find out what the students know.
Okay. Question?
Why do you write predictions about the information?
Why
they
What exactly?
Read.
They read
How?
Scanning.
According to the
Or skimming for general understanding, right? Okay. Recite.
Find the words.
They tell each other what they remember with recite, right? Okay. With the book open or closed? Closed, right? And finally,
they open
you can see if their questions can be answered, right? So look, students first have to survey the assigned reading. It's helpful before we do that. What usually happens in a course book, right? There's a reading text, right? Who decides the questions? The book does, right? And are the students necessarily interested in answering those questions? No, right? So this gives them more independence, okay? So they first skim through the text, right? And how long should they be skimming for? 2 minutes. 2 minutes, right? Okay. Second step consists of encouraging learners to formulate questions. If there are headings and subheadings, they can summarize them or give them a title. And turn it into questions and asking more general questions. What's this section about? Students read the text and try to answer the questions that they generated previously. Now, another way to do that, they create questions and they swap them. So the other students are trying to answer their questions that they created, right? Okay. Students must be encouraged to recite the information from memory. Right, see what they've retained. Finally, review their questions. So, for example, were you able to answer my questions by reading the text? Okay, or was I able to answer your questions by reading the text? Okay. Now, if you open your Telegram app, there's a reading text there, and I think if I remember right, it's called Assignment 3. That one, yeah. What's it called? Assignment 3. Right?
That's 3.
Okay, so 1, 2, 3, look at me.
1, 2, look at you.
Okay, so what's the 1, 2, 3, look at me.
1, 2,
1, 2, 3, look at me.
1, 2, look at you.
No, look at me. Right. Okay, so right. Okay, put your phones down. Right, look at me. Right. Oh God, interesting. That word is not allowed. Huh? Okay, what's a better word than interesting? Gripping, captivating, enthralling, not interesting. Okay. Now, what's the title of this text?
Russian
Russian Mowgli. In fact, turn your phones over. Turn your phones over.
I didn't stand.
Right. Yes. Turn over. Right. I don't want you looking at the text, right? So, what was the title of the text? Russian Mowgli. Okay. So, discuss two things. What you expect to read about in the text and what vocabulary you expect to find in the text.
Spent 16 years in the forest. 16. Maybe he ran away.
How to make fire.
Okay, let's stop there. Let's see. This group over here, what do you expect to read in the text, and what vocabulary do you expect to see?
We expect to read how it all began, how the man survived, maybe some comments by that man. As for the vocabulary, we expect to, I don't know, need some words describing wildlife, maybe some health problems.
Okay, and this group, what do you expect to read about, and what kind of vocabulary?
Like hurdles they might have had, like face dangers, a lot of vocabulary connected with adjectives, like describing wild nature, animals, maybe mushrooms, berries.
Magic.
Yeah, we want to learn what happened when.
Right. Okay, and what about this group over here? This group over here. Yeah.
So I think that I was not thinking that this text would be about maybe a teenager or a kid in Europe, maybe about his surviving in these severe conditions. But maybe or maybe something that connected with climate, ecology, maybe.
Okay.
About the coast.
Okay, so listen carefully. Please don't look at the text. I'm gonna look at the text. No. I'm going to read a part of the text. All right. First time, just relax, do nothing. Now I'm going to read it at natural speed. I'm not going to slow it down for dictation. Okay. So you are going to Listen and do. Okay. Russian authorities have found the young man lived alone in the Siberian forest after having apparently spent most of his life living there in a hut with his parents, local officials said. Locals near the town of found the man, who told the local prosecutor that he was born in 1993 and had lived in the forest since 1997 when his family decided to leave society. Okay, so please put the phones away, put the phones away, don't look at the text. Right. Okay. Now, did you remember every word?
No,
Of course not.
No. Okay. So this time, make sure you've got a pen and paper. Right. Again, I'm going to read it at natural speed, only once. You're not going to hear everything, but write down the key words that are going to help you. Okay, that you hear clearly. Right. How many times will I read it? At what speed? And you will write
Keywords.
perfect instruction check. Okay. Russian authorities have found a young man living alone in the Siberian forest after having apparently spent most of his life living there in a hut with his parents, local officials said. Locals near the town of Belokurica found the man, who told the local prosecutor that he was born in 1993 and had lived in the forest since 1997 when his family decided to leave society.
Okay.
Right. Okay, work in small group and compare the notes that you took.
Young men had parents. 1993, 1997 leave.
Has been living in a house with
Okay, listen. Hello. 1, 2, 3. That works better. Okay, listen. Listen, please. I'm going to read it one more time. Please try to catch anything that you missed before, right? Okay.
Do it cool, that sounds nice now.
Yeah, all right. Russian authorities have found a young man living alone in the Siberian forest after having apparently spent most of his life living there in a hut with his parents, local officials said. Locals near the town of Belokurica found the man who told the local prosecutor that he was born in 1993 and had lived in the forest since 1997 when his family decided to leave society. Okay, now, this time, listen please, listen carefully. With the person that you were talking to and comparing your notes, one of you is going to be a secretary, and you're going to try to recreate as much as possible of what I just read to you. Okay? So one person will be the secretary.
Mine. At least it's legible, you know. Secretary. Who wants to be the secretary?
I will be able to retrieve.
Alone in the forest.
A young man.
A young man. Living alone. He was living in the house where he his parents.
Okay, in the district. I like the
He was born in 1993, so he moved.
Yeah, she was very active. And the family decided to leave the society.
No, I started living in the forest in 1997 when the
family decided to leave the
family
society.
decided to leave the society.
Okay, let's stop there. Okay, so let's see. This group, can somebody read your text?
Yeah, the secretary can.
Okay, before you do that, what percentage do you think you got?
80.
About 80. Okay.
70.
All right. So can somebody read it?
T.
Okay, can somebody read it for us?
She's still doing her job, you know?
Yeah.
Russian authorities found a young man living alone in the Siberian forest. He had been living in a hut with his parents for 16 years in the district of Belakuria. The local prosecutor informed that the man was born in 1993 and moved to the forest in 1997 when his family decided to leave the society.
Okay. Does anybody have anything that they did not say?
That he has spent almost all his life here.
Didn't say that.
It was not
And
necessary.
it wasn't mentioned. Okay. Anyone else? Anything that they missed? No, they did a very good job, right? Okay. You've ruined this part of my lesson.
Sorry. Sorry for that.
But okay. Yeah. So this is an alternative way to get students thinking about a text, predicting what's going to happen, right? And this is what it's not a dictation, it's a dictogloss, right? A dictogloss, okay? So now each group, I want you to write 3 questions that you hope will be answered in the text.
What did they? Why did the family decide?
Where did you get school? Find the answers.
And how did you get medical care?
How did he survive?
So, sorry, ladies and gentlemen, please don't look at the text. Okay, I am.
I mean, I saw the film about what happened.
Yeah, so you don't need the text.
Just a big interview. Well, he's not adapted to real life. He seems to be. He's okay, but now he's living with the girl. Yeah, he's a bear. He's kind of. I don't know. A little bit childish. Why did you make a decision?
But he's good at surviving. Yeah.
So he has strong and weak points.
Okay, I'm really I have how did he survive and why did his family decide to send him to he ever killed friends? Well, now we know he does. He knows.
But it's not necessarily written in the text.
Maybe no.
It's easier to.
1 more minute.
Did he decide to come back?
No.
To the society?
So if he was
As far as I remember, he took a lot of he took some credit for that.
and now he's planning to go back to the forest.
Try to find.
30 seconds.
Well, he's
Hebrew, it's well.
If you heard about this, let's go and see the
Oh, no, 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 no.
Yes. Can you find a picture of a man? Oh, okay. Not too bad. We know a bit more than we want to know. It's gotta go there.
Wow.
And at least he had, and what human beings he owns the fortune.
Okay, stop, please. Stop. So, similar to what we talked about, surveying, reciting, etc. Okay, KWL, this simplified version. So, what do you already know about the text? What do you already know?
That he spent 16 years in the book.
Who spent 16 years in the book? Which guy?
A
A young man. How do you know? Who told you? Who found him? No, a woman found him and told the local authorities. Right? Okay. Huh? Yeah. Okay. When was he born? Okay. When did his parents decide they were? 1997, right? Okay. Now, so this is what you already know. Okay. The questions you write are what you want to know. Okay. So now I want you to just quickly, you have 2 minutes to skim the text, okay, and try to remember as much information as possible. Just 2 minutes. Remember, do you read with your eyes or your lips? So read silently. One more minute.
Mhm.
30 seconds.
I like the lesson. And then there should be some addresses in front of me. Yeah. Right.
Okay, turn over your phones, please. Turn over. Right. Discuss everything you can remember.
So his family was back.
So Roman was afraid that he would probably not survive.
For skiing and and health and care makes something about decisions. I was breaking down the question.
Who's written the 3 questions? Who's written the 3 questions? Who's written the 3 questions? Who has the 3 questions?
I didn't get what I I think why they left is no idea.
There was not
Not in the explanation, not for religion. Yes, not for religion, but why? Not for
Okay. Okay, listen, 1, 2, 3, look at me. 1, 2, look at you. Right. So listen very quickly. You've all read the text now. Now I've given you each other's questions. Work together. Work together and see if you can answer the questions that have been written.
Yeah, we have already done it.
You've done it. Okay. So listen, were you able to answer their questions?
Yes, we were.
All of them?
No.
No.
Well, kind of cool.
Right.
Just the last one.
Somebody tell me a question that you were unable to answer.
Why his parents left the society?
Why? Who is parents?
Why did the parents have to leave the society?
Okay. Right. Okay. Any other questions that you couldn't answer?
Which dangers did he face?
Okay. Any others? Sorry?
Not stated.
Okay. So listen carefully. There are some questions that you cannot answer, right?
Yeah.
Is that a problem?
No.
Why?
Use your imagination.
What can it encourage you to do, the students to do?
To find out more information.
Retell the story. Imagine.
Further research, for example, right? And then they can report back to the class. Okay? And you can say you need to consult at least 3 different sources for this story. Yeah.
The parents, the prosecutor.
Yeah. Okay. So instead of just letting the students read from the book and answer the questions in the book, you're handing over to them and giving them the decision-making ability, right? And the opportunity to decide for themselves what they want to learn, how they want to learn. Okay. So can somebody read out? Okay, what were the 3 questions for your group that they gave you?
How long has he been in the forest alone?
Right. So listen carefully. Okay. How long has he been? How long?
15 years.
How long?
How long alone?
How long did he stay in the forest? Right. Okay. Now listen carefully. What kind of reading skill do the students need to use to answer that question? Scanning for specific information. Okay. Right. What was another? No. What was the question you couldn't answer?
Why did his parents leave the society?
Now, so that's an example of an inference question, all right? So why do you imagine that they did it? They probably did it because they were sick of the modern world and they wanted to become closer to nature, right? So that's an example of reading for inference skill. Who else had a question they couldn't answer? What happened to his parents, right? Okay, and again, we have to infer, right? But it mentions the local prosecutor twice. What do you imagine happened to his parents? Could have been punished, sent to prison, right? But the point is, that question is encouraging the learners to read carefully and to infer from context, right? And then, of course, they can be encouraged to do further research on it at home, all right? Okay, much better than just saying, look at this text and answer the questions. I think you would agree.
Yes.
All right. Now, let's very quickly. Oh yeah, you can spot the right. Okay. Who wants to be a millionaire?
Everyone.
The guy from the
Yeah, I got that. Okay, so
Why not pound?
so how many groups do you have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 groups, right? Okay, your favorite animal? Zebra. All right.
I could tell.
Okay, so zebras.
Always a.
Okay, this group, your favorite animal?
Tiger, panda.
I hate pandas. I hate them so much.
Sorry.
Right. This group,
Russian
bear. Okay. This group, sharks. Oh, no, okay. And the group at the back, dog. All right. So very quickly, I'm not going to do this the whole activity, but just to demonstrate, right? Are you okay? Right. Okay, so let's say tigers. Who are the tigers? You're the tigers, right? Okay, so choose grammar, vocabulary, or reading. Vocab for how much? For 200, right? Okay. And listen, you only have 3 seconds to answer.
The best way to be.
No.
Or they pay you 200.
Yeah.
Oh.
Huh? Oh, yeah. But it's not connected.
Go Tigers.
Okay, are you ready? And you need to have the text ready, okay?
The text ready. What?
The text.
Yeah.
Reading text. Okay, so for $200, the rest be quiet, let them try to answer, right? An example of a participle clause in paragraph 1. Okay. You've got 5 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2.
Yeah, but the first one, I found a young man living alone in the Siberian forest.
Is that paragraph?
But is it paragraph 1?
Paragraph 1.
Yeah, I believe it's paragraph 1.
Sorry.
It is paragraph 1.
Which one is number
Yeah.
1?
That's paragraph 1. Okay, so what's the participle clause?
Living alone.
Okay, for a bonus, what's the other one? After having. Okay, so you've got $201, all right? Okay. Okay, let's say sharks. Okay,
Baby shark.
who's sharks? Okay, grammar, reading, or vocabulary? Grammar. Okay, for how much? 400. Okay.
Oh, reduced.
Get ready to answer.
Okay. Yeah. I'm listening.
Alarm? Pardon?
That's one word.
Alarm.
Yeah,
That's one word. Reduce to two clause. Correct. All right. So $400 for the sharks. We'll do one more. Okay. Let's see. Who's the? Okay, the bears. So grammar, vocab, or reading? In fact, not grammar. Reading for how much? 400, right?
We know the answers.
Can anybody find a word beginning with C about how they thought? Word beginning with C.
How the parents thought.
Conscious decision, right? So it does say that they made a conscious decision.
Yes.
Do you necessarily have to think long and hard to make a conscious decision? So the answer, as you said, not mentioned, right? Good. All right. So this is an example. I'm sure you've seen Jeopardy before. An example: the students take responsibility for. Are they going to answer a difficult question? Are they going to answer a question that they feel comfortable with, etc. All right. All right. Now we're running out of time a little bit. So.
В учебнике comprehension question есть грамматики, они обычно берут примеры.
Who is speaking Russian in my class?
Объясняют, какое проявление грамматического части в учебнике. No, I'm confused.
Okay, so far we've had a look at skills, reading, for example, and how you can adapt them to promote learning autonomy. Now we're looking at language systems. So what do I mean by language systems? Grammar, vocabulary,
Functional
functions,
phonetics.
pronunciation, not phonetics.
Okay.
Okay, no, not pronunciation. Okay, all right. So, guided discovery. All right. So it's based on the principle that the most effective way to learn something is to work it out yourself. Okay. Right. And this is what we're going to have a look at in a moment. Okay. Now. Yes. Okay. So listen carefully. I'm going to talk to you about phrasal verbs. When I was young, I had to look after my little brother. Look after, of course, is a two-part phrasal verb. Basically, it's a transitive phrasal verb. It must have an object, but it's inseparable. Of course, I can't say look at my brother after, look after my brother. A two-part phrasal verb that's not subject to change. It has an idiomatic meaning, and so on. Okay, good. So you all know about phrasal verbs now, right? Good. Well done. Right. What's the problem with that?
Well, it's too much information you can discover, and
Okay.
it doesn't make much sense to students who have never seen phrasal.
Right.
Only one example.
It's difficult to
Specific
just
terms.
process.
How much student involvement?
No.
None. Right. So now, on your phones, there's another document. It's called Phrasal Verbs. Okay. So I want you to work in your groups through the exercises. Okay. And I'll give you 5 minutes. Phrasal verbs.
Match the pictures to the image.
No.
Simplify, change.
See.
It's not that?
No.
It's called phrasal verbs.
Yes, and it's a bit of a instruction.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. All right.
So that's not what we're looking for. Is it maybe guided discovery?
Okay. I'll give you this one. Not to worry. All right, look, okay, so we'll change it. We'll change it. Don't worry about that. We're still doing further discovery. Listen carefully. Okay, can anybody here speak Italian?
No.
Yeah, a few words.
All right.
Mamma mia.
Please. So, open the one that says guided discovery. Okay. Okay, so just look at the screen, please. Look at the screen first. Hello. 1, 2, 3, look at me.
1, 2, look at you.
Okay, so this is what we've looked at already. It's based on the principle that the most effective way to learn something is to work it out for yourself, okay? Students are put in an exploratory mode, right? Using their powers of observation, and the learners are seen as the investigators of facts.
Yeah, sure.
Sherlock Holmes, right? So encouraging the students to be detectives. Okay. Let's speak Italian, or Italiano. Okay. So if you look at the document that I just told you, right? Work together. I think there are 3 exercises, am I right? 4. Okay, so work together. I'll give you 5 minutes. Work through the 4 exercises.
I think it's the agenda.
Yes, that's it. That's it. Yeah, that's it. Remember, you should be collaborating, working together. But remember, work together.
Libri rossi, tu gatto rosso, Три порта rosse.
Just the Italian.
We're not looking into this yet. Not now.
Okay, I think most people have got the idea. 1, 2, 3, look at me. All right, so firstly, why are they in 2 separate columns?
Because of genders,
Gender.
masculine and feminine.
Yeah, but you can be any gender. No. So two genders, masculine and feminine, right?
Yes.
Is that the same in English? Generally, no. Although there are some old-fashioned ones, right? For example, vehicles are called she.
Yeah.
Yeah, or a ship is called she. Yeah. And this is an example of contrastive analysis. You can ask them to contrast it to their own language, right? And see if it's similar or different. Okay, so which one list of words is masculine, which is feminine? A is masculine, right? Ragazzo, ragazza. Okay, now the next one. Yeah, thank you. What can you deduce about Italian singular and plural nouns and adjectives from these examples? So, uno libro rosso. So the endings must, they must agree. All right. So a singular masculine noun ends in, therefore. Okay, good. Now, due libri rossi.
They also agree in the ending.
Okay, is it masculine or feminine? Right,
Plural masculine.
plural masculine. So masculine nouns end in plural masculine nouns end in I, right? Okay, therefore the adjective also does, right? Okay, good. Now, uno macchina rossa. It's feminine and it's singular. Yeah, the noun ends in, therefore the adjective must do the same. Okay, right. And then we've got macchine rosse. Feminine plural. Right. Good. Okay. The same as English or different? Different. Okay. Number 4. Yes. Well, that's next. So number 4. Complete the rules below. In Italian, adjectives go before or after the noun? All right. And in English? Before. Although there are predictive and interpretive adjectives, but we won't go into that. Right. Masculine singular words end in O. Plural? I. Okay. Feminine singular words? A. Right. Feminine plural words? E. Okay. Now let's have a look. Correct the mistakes. Una penna rosso. Okay. Listen carefully. You said but you should have said. Okay. So tell me. You said. You said penna rosso, but you should have said because. Which is
a feminine.
okay, right. Due gatto rosso. So you said
You said duo gatto rosso, but you should have said.
because. Okay. I don't know how to say 3 in Italian. That's Spanish. All right, but we'll use it anyway. Tres tavoli rosse. What's the mistake? You said? Right, hold on. I'm hearing everything from this group. Somebody help me. What did I say wrong, Lee? Okay, go on. Anyone? Okay, this group.
You said.
I should have said what? Because. Okay. Very good. And the last one. 3, whatever it is. Porta rosse.
You said.
Right. Okay, now, so listen carefully. This is an example of guided discovery, right? How much input did I, the teacher, have? Nothing. Just the material, right? And I said, there you go, right? Investigate. Okay. Now you can all speak Italian, right? Right. Okay. Choo choo. Cosi, 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 cosi. Yeah. Huh?
Oh, that's so helpful.
Okay. So, this activity, who did all of the work?
Students.
Exactly. Right. So, advantages of a guided discovery approach. Okay. All of these: learner-centered, creates learner autonomy. Learners take responsibility for their own learning. Yeah. And a lot of others. Okay. Disadvantages, perhaps. Okay. And again, culturally, if you say to a group of Japanese students in Tokyo, here is some language, work out the rules. This is what's going to happen, right? So it depends on the culture in which you're working. In some cultures, it needs to be managed very sensitively. Yeah? Okay. Right. What about for Russian learners? What do you think?
Depends on the learner.
Well, just I'm talking about broadly in terms of culture.
It can work fine.
Yeah. My experience with Russian students is that it works, right? And they love competing, against other groups and finding the answers, right? But some possible disadvantages: the teacher can become lazy, as it says at the bottom. Right? So the teacher might use it as an excuse not to teach. Right. Competition between learners. Right. Teacher unsure. Not all classes and not all cultures are suited to a discovery approach. Okay. Now, what we have to consider: culture again. Class size and type, age, material, extension for faster learners, but you're already experts in that now. We did it this morning. And the role of the teacher. Now, sorry, one more thing. Okay, does anybody here play any sports? Kind of. It's a yes or no question.
It's like plays.
Sorry?
It's like plays. Some dudes.
So,
It's in some game, right?
I don't know. Tell me.
Well, I mean, doing sports.
Do you?
I do.
Okay.
I don't play.
Tell us.
Okay. I do rock climbing.
Okay. You go rock climbing, right? You go rock climbing. Okay. Anybody else? Do any sports?
I do yoga.
Anyone else? Okay. Did anyone, when they were younger, used to play sports? Yes. Okay. Anyone?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
I used to play basketball.
You used to play basketball. Okay.
I used to go figure skating.
Figure skating. Okay. I can't hear you. Weightlifting. Somebody once said to me, they asked me if my mother was a weightlifter. And I said no. And they said, well, she must have been to raise a dumbbell like you. Okay, now when I was younger, I used to fight all around Europe, right? I used to fight all around Europe in karate tournaments, okay? Yeah. Now, we used to fight both as individuals and in teams, all right? What do you think gives more satisfaction, when you win an individual or you win a team event? Because
It gives you some sense of multiple success, right? You see other people's reaction too. It makes you feel this kind of vibes.
yeah, Okay, and it's somebody to share the achievement with, right? So this is another good reason to use guided discovery in the classroom. I think we've got time. Yeah, we've got time for one more. All right. Look at the next document, which is about adjectives.
And the name is?
That is, I've got the document open already.
S4.
Same document, but scroll down.
Ah, the same, guided discovery.
Yeah.
Ah,
Okay.
So many.
Newspaper and just activity.
Okay, so this activity, the order of adjectives, okay? So if we look at the first one, what's the first adjective? Thank you very much. Right. Second, Chinese. Okay. Next one. Interesting. Right. Looking for a. Right. So fun can be an adjective, attractive, and slim. Okay. So these are all adjectives here. Okay. Do the same for the others. Just underline all of the adjectives that you find.
Lovely,
Lovely, new.
А я думаю, не блин, вы что происходит с вами?
Oh, for me. Right. So in the second advert, what were the adjectives that you identified?
Friendly, lovely, white.
And Burmese, right?
Burmese, yeah.
Burmese. Yeah. Okay. And in the next advert? Lovely. West, did you say? And? New. Okay. What kind of flat? Studio flat. In this case, studio it can be considered an adjective, right? Type of flat. Okay. And I think there's one more. Yeah. Obviously. No. Okay. So the next one. Look at the description. Put the adjectives in the correct order. So, for example, old. Yeah. Is an adjective about describing age. Yes. And terrible. Opinion or attitude, right? So, you can tell me what comes first, age or opinion? Terrible old books. Okay? So once again, work together and put the adjectives into the correct order.
Beautiful, really good news. Evening silk. Good looking. Short brown size.
Okay, I want to give you a coffee break, so let's get through this, right? So, A, village.
Beautiful little.
Right, a beautiful little Nepalese village. Okay, and this group, B. Somebody in this group. No, restaurant. Yeah, a really good new Mexican restaurant. Okay, great. And this group, the next one. An expensive silk evening dress. Yeah. Okay. And this group at the back, the next one.
Large wooden picture frame.
Good. Okay. This one about the Australian man.
Good looking, tall Australian man.
It should be that. But what sounds more natural? Good looking, tall, or tall, good looking? Right. So there are rules, but sometimes it's just, and there are exceptions, and sometimes it's just about what sounds more natural to you, right? Tall, good looking flows more easily, right? Okay. And the last one, a short brown leather jacket. Right. Remember what I said earlier? Richard of York gave battle in vain. Richard of York gave battle in vain. The colours of the rainbow. So this is a mnemonic drill. Mnemonic, right? And here. Oh. Right. Oh dear. Opinion, attitude, right? Opinion or attitude. Some size, shape. Okay. Age. Yeah. Origin. Purpose. Okay. So this is the order of adjectives, right? So one more time. O is opinion. Size, shape, right? Age. That's it. Okay. Of course, you won't get all of these adjectives in one sentence, right? You might get 2, 3. Okay, but students do often get it wrong, and it's noticeable when they put them in the wrong order. It's very noticeable. Okay?
Like in Russian, don't say
Uh-huh.
say the other way.
Yeah, okay. That's because of what we call, which I encourage you to read. No. Lexical priming. It means that we're primed, we're prepared to hear things in a certain way. Right? This is right, so Michael Howitt. Okay. I'm so clever, you're so lucky to have me.
Yeah, thank you for having us, Cindy.
Yeah, I'm not proud.
I'm so shy. You're not very
Okay, so listen, I think that brings us up to our coffee break. I hope I've given you some ideas about getting the learners to become more independent. Okay. All right. Thank you very much. Yeah, please. Any books I'm using are in the link to the presentation.
We're gonna get it. No, you're not. I'm just getting you a little. You can get it.
It's freely available. Tyranny of choice. Relax.
А, я туда смотрела. А ничего, у нас ничего не будет, у нас завтра уроки
В принципе, экзамены ЕГЭ, потому что они уже знают, что экзамены, что
И мы, на самом деле, вот это учебный год, что это было понимание, сколько сессий должно быть, как они вообще должны форматироваться. Я думаю, что у нас это значит.
Математику, математику выставили, не выставили. Что же они говорили?
Поэтому, скорее всего, ну, по запросу у нас возможность выездных сессий, то есть если принимающая страна готова, то требует чекап определенных выездных установок, есть понятие минимума, это 6 на уровень, 6 кандидатов, достаточно решаем. За сессию есть тоже понятие минимум 30 за сессию каждую, 6 на ну, собственно, они больше ошибки совершили, но они набрали минимум и собрали все, начиная со степ-1, заканчивая. И мы, конечно, не стали, и мы были вынуждены делить на 2 дня, и это прям было самое важное. Поэтому мы что-то очень великий, и собственно, повторяю, своим эмпирическим путем, они тоже не истории. Поэтому есть много возможностей, там приезд, в любом случае мы будем объявлять. И даже если у вас нет большое количество, просто принесите людей, ну да, мы это уже мы хотели, там, году на следующий год, чтобы это было уже нужно провести. Они сами не пришли, нет. Большим опозданием мы всегда ждем довольно долго, поэтому тут мы и
Right.
Единственное, что нас очень радовало, сложнее я причувствовала именно я чувствую, что не может не радовать. Хорошо, что ты меня Спасибо. Да, конечно,
Pogodę.